Yeah, so let's come back to our session. The agenda is like, our focus is like uh, the session is intended for those who already having a background, technical background knowledge on the Azure Databricks, including Microsoft Azure, and then those who are looking to understand the cost optimization if you deploy these workloads. Okay, this is totally intended for those guys, and if you already have some experience, so that you can map into this technology if you are not aware of it. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think I have already given my introduction, so I'm just skipping the slide. Yeah, so coming to Azure Databricks, the agenda for today is, we need to understand, why the cost optimization matters. Everybody knows from the business perspective, when we started cloud, it's like a few of pay as you go, and some of the things like reserve, so there are many factors. Though even the whether the administrators, the consultants, they're they don't have a complete understanding about the the hyperscalers and how it works, how it will incur the cost for each and every service. So that's where the cost optimization is matter. And also this is one of the pillar. Okay, when you are designing, deploying any of the workloads into any cloud platform, not only into the Azure, to take any platform, cost optimization is one of the pillar for the well-architected framework. Okay, so this is a very important thing as part of the architecture and design principles. Okay, then we'll discuss into the Azure Databricks cost drivers. So what exactly we have to look into the Azure Databricks when you are thinking about the cost, even start from the designing and the post go live. So what are those factors? And then we will discuss about the optimization strategies and a few of the best practices. Okay, so this is our agenda for today, and let's move on to the cost optimization. Okay, yeah. So like I have already explained one use case, like one of the telecom service provider. So they reached out me to optimize their big data platform. They're already having an existing infrastructure on the Azure. Like some consultant, is already implemented and he left, and now they're managing. Okay, but on this there are many scenarios. This is one of the my recent example. Yeah, so in Azure Bricks, it becomes more expensive. Like if you're not properly designed, if you're not properly managing, whenever it is coming to deploying the clusters, even also the storage design, and also the job scheduling, like the data pipelines, whatever the schedule jobs that we run into a data factory platform. Okay. Because this cost optimization improves the customers' ROI, and also it helps them on the scalability side. Okay, and all the customers, they need to have a proactive cost governance. That means like it's a continuous process. Okay, cost optimization is not a one-time activity like how we design and deploy. This is a like not into this only Azure Databricks. Any cloud platform, cost governance is a continuous uh, activity. So like every quarter, every month, someone have to review what are all the different services, whether those are in budget or out of the budget. What are the factors that are uh, uh, taking that the cost increase. Okay, it's a continuous practice. Okay, so now let's try to understand the Azure Databricks cost drivers, right? So the first compute and storage is common, like when you plan to design your Azure Databricks platform right into the cloud. So how, on what basis you are going to choose your VM instances? Okay. So now let me go back to, or let me, I hope so far you are able to see my screen, right? I just stopped it, so just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm about to share one more window. Right, okay, let me, I already have created Azure Databricks. Let me share my screen. Okay, it's open. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so let me know if you're all able to see my screen. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, got it. Right. So this is my Azure portal. So here I already have provisioned a free trial Databricks for 2 weeks. So if you want to just it's a straightforward. Our intention is not to guide you on how to provision the Azure Databricks workspace. Okay. So from here normally we create it's only the workspace. Then you will get the Azure workspace. Okay. Right. So once your workspace is ready, then you have to plan how you're going to design your workflows like ETL process and what is the compute capacity and like on what basis you're going to design. Okay. So here, let me open. Okay. So like there are totally the four best practices where the first step is you have to choose optimal resources. Okay, so optimal resources like you first have to build your Delta Lake as your storage framework. This is where the Azure Databricks is going to give you the best performance and as well as the uh, cost perspective. Okay, once you choose your uh, data format, either it is going to be a Delta Lake or it is going to be a data lake. So once that is finalized, then what you have to think about the jobs, whatever the jobs that you have to run is always based on the compute size. Okay, now let me go back here. Now I'm just going to the workspace. Okay, so this is how your Microsoft Azure Databricks workspace looks like. I think if you already familiar with that, that's fine. This is for those who are not familiar with this Azure Databricks, where you can run your SQL related workloads, jobs. You can build your SQL warehouse. Okay, and if you have any machine learning predictions that you wanted to run on the data that you ingested, transformed, and stored into into a SQL or warehouse, so where you will run some machine learning models to generate some insights and predictions. Okay, and like you also have a some of the data engineering jobs where you will create you will extract the data and then you will clean up the data and then you stage your data and then load into a warehouse. So where all jobs are going to take into this data engineering phase. Okay, these are the three options that you will have. Okay, SQL, data engineering, and AML. Okay, so now where it is going to start is like for every user that you provision a workspace. Okay, so that workspace will have like notebooks. Okay, where you can run your SQL queries, Python, Scala. Like this will support for these many programming languages like Python, SQL, Scala, and R. Okay, this is how usually data engineers, data analysts, they will access their notebooks and they perform their activities, to create a data frame, clean up the data, and then they will create a data set and they will store the data set, and then data analysts they will run again some queries, to generate some of the reports. Okay, so they use these notebooks, but yeah, so coming here. Uh, Right. So these are just notebooks. So where is your compute platform? How the engineers they perform their day-to-day operations. Okay, these are for their activities. Okay, and you have a multiple data sources like you're fetching a data from uh, SQL databases, and you also are fetching from the structured databases, non-structured databases. Like you have a multiple sources of data. Okay, so how exactly you're going to utilize the compute platform, to perform all these operations? Okay, so that's where we are talking about the compute engine optimization here. Okay, so Azure Databricks will charge you based on the Databricks that usage, how much you are using the Databricks, and what type of the VM instance that you are using for your cluster. Okay, and how much of time the uptime for your cluster. So these are the three key factors which are uh, involved into the cost. So how optimally you are choosing these compute instances is the key point that you have to remember when you are designing or any existing workload that you wanted to assess. Okay, now let's go back to that. uh, okay, and then storage. So what kind of a data that you are storing, what how much the total volume, and what kind of a file format that you are storing. Okay, this is a very important thing as a data architects. When you are like you can save the data in multiple formats, spark weight or the delta format, delta tables, like many formats, right? And how frequently these data will be accessed by multiple sources. Okay, what kind of a workloads types, like interactive versus scheduled jobs? Interactive in the sense like I'm opening the workspace, I'm running some queries every time, like as an interactive, and some other things like scheduled jobs, like I can come here and I can create a jobs and pipelines to perform scheduled jobs here. Okay, so based on this also the cost is involved into your Azure Databricks platform. Okay, and yeah, so we already discussed it here, the data volume and the frequency. Like if you have a more data, then it like higher cost. But uh, did you plan your data retention? Right, as part of the organizational governance policy, you will be having a data retention policies, right? If you're not implemented any data retention policies, the data what you store inside the Databricks is also one of the key factor. Like some of the companies for production they will keep for 1 year, for development they keep 3 months, 6 months. Like it depends on the organization retention policy. So these are all we have to keep in our mind when you are working, to improve the uh, cost optimization for the Azure Databricks. Okay, right. So the same we are discussing. So here we discuss it totally. What are the cost drivers for the entire Azure Databricks platform? Okay, and now then we will discuss like in each area and what are the best practices that you have to take care and how your which strategy you go and choose your compute instance, storage, and workload types, like that. Okay, yeah. So the first thing is coming to the cluster management. Okay, so now I have Azure Databricks platform. Okay, so I have some like some SQL stuff. I'm trying to fetch the data. I'm trying to create some kind of a stuff. Okay, I'm trying to load some data and I'm running a sample transaction, and like I'm measuring the execution time for the data format what I have generated, like some kind of jobs that I just wanted to execute and test. Like this is kind of an example. Like every engineer, they have to access their notebooks. Uh, 1 second. So one is joined. Okay. So yeah. So once you create your notebook, right? So you have to associate it to the respective compute platform. Okay. On what basis you are going to decide? So any ideas? Okay, I have I'm creating a notebook for one of the data engineering team. So here you have a multiple computing platform. So here you have all-purpose compute, job compute, SQL warehouse. Okay, and these are different. So these are related to AI stuff. Okay, yeah. So now you tell me any idea from any experience from your previous projects and all. And what basis now I have to choose a computing platform for a simple workloads. I just wanted to run something, a simple jobs. Any idea?
Yeah. So if it is a kind of a scheduling job, then you go for a job compute. Or now if it's kind of stream, then there could be cluster which is run every time. So this kind of way, or the based on the uh, computation requirement, you can get a compute optimized things. So in that manner.
Yeah, right. So now let me yeah. So yeah, those are correct. Right. So here, like as you said, you know, when you were creating a jobs, okay, you always have to create a job and you have to run those non-interactively. That means, in some of the cases I have seen, what they do is simply they will log in and they will access the workspace and they will try to execute their jobs. Okay, so this is a very bad practice because that will opening a notebook and because this is already associated to your, you need to associate your cluster and then a computer capacity, and then you have to run all this in an interactive mode. But the best practice is only for development work related. We allow end users to use interactive method to run their jobs. Okay, because they have to test whether their queries are running or not. Once their queries are working and everything is this code is ready, then the immediate step is you have to plan to run these jobs as a non-interactive method. Okay, and while you create the jobs, you have to choose your job compute. Let me show you this. Let me create a job. Okay, let me create a job. Okay, let me give demo test. Okay, okay. Let me. I have my notebook workspace. Then let me select. Like this way, you have to create some jobs. Either it is from your if you have your Git repository, which we are planned to run as a non-interactive mode, which is a best practice for the production. Nowhere we allow, you should not allow any of the consultant or engineer to run your production workloads in a interactive method. Okay. So you have to clone your Git repositories. Your code should be in either one of the VCS version control system, whether it could be a GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, whatever the company they use the tool for the version control system. Okay. So the code has to be integrated into the GitHub repository here to your workspace. Okay, and then you have to plan, to create your jobs. Okay, it's not like this, because you see, if someone is manually accessing this notebook and making some changes, there is no, you cannot track all those changes, who modified and all these things. Okay, so here, this is where we are talking about compute optimization, right? So here you have different options, serverless, and you can create a new job cluster. If it is not there, then you can use existing all-purpose compute. Okay, but the recommendation is, whenever you're designing all the jobs, then you always have to keep dedicated job cluster, where you can run all your jobs into that cluster. Okay, so that is where you have to choose your cluster, and with respect to the respective version of your database, and then you have to use the respective virtual machine type. Okay. So all of your jobs inside Azure Databricks, you have to use your jobs cluster. So you cannot directly create from here. Okay, you don't have any option. Once you create a job, okay, once you create a job, and as part of your job creation, you can select your job compute type. Okay, then all of your jobs, you'll use that cluster and to run all the jobs. Okay. Yeah. And the next thing is, you have to choose the right instance type. Okay. So now you are aware that okay. So for each individual activity, you have to use a different kind of workloads. Okay. For job, you have to create your job cluster. Okay, for the regular kind of workloads, for any notebooks, again you have a different types, serverless and also the server. It depends on. Okay, so you have to choose your serverless workloads. When you are planning any business intelligence reports that you are plan to run. Okay, any machine learning and model serving. By the time you can choose serverless for those jobs. Okay. And also you have to choose a right instance type. So this is a common for any kind of a workloads, not only for the Azure Databricks, any of the cloud platform. Whenever you are going to provision any of the resource, you have to make sure what type of instance, either the application, the data, what you are trying to achieve with the help of the job, whether that require more memory, that require more compute, that is a storage intensive, uh, but and also some of the ML workloads. See, most of the times, if you think about the machine learning, most of the people, they think they need GPU based workloads. Not all times, all libraries require GPU optimized virtual machines. Not the case. Okay, so you have to test. If you test that library for your model, if that is really required a GPU based, then only you have to provision. Okay? Before going to the production, again, in a lower environments, you will test your models and performance and all test, right? So if you really feel that a GPU really is not required to run your model for inferencing and all those things, then it's not required all the times. So this we need to keep in our mind whenever it is when we are considering the costing is also one of the factors. Okay? Yeah. So yeah, so there are the couple of the other areas where you have to look into that. This whenever it is coming to the computing size. Okay, so normally if we talk about the architecture of the Databricks, okay, you will be having a driver and as well as a worker node. Okay, so these worker nodes and as well as the drivers that they will act as like a executor cores, because that will also use some of your compute, and that will also consolidate your executor memory, and also that executor use a local storage. Okay, so when you are defining uh, your compute workloads, you need to consider your Databricks architecture. That includes your executor and worker node. Okay, and you have to make sure what would be the right instance for a kind of a workloads that you wanted to run the jobs, or the SQL warehouse. And for SQL warehouse related jobs, what you can do is you also have a computing platform for SQL related workloads. Okay, if you look at the Azure Databricks, you have a SQL warehouse where you can create your own SQL warehouse platform, and you can run all of your SQL workhouse SQL related queries into this compute instance. Okay, you have a various types. So if you were not sure, and few of the people they directly simply provision all purpose, but for up to some it has some limitations. Okay, so this is where the best way to choose the computing platform. Okay, all purpose job compute and SQL warehouses. Okay, and these pools is like you can create multiple systems and that will form a pool of your cluster. From that it will use. So you have to first design these jobs efficiently to optimize the cost. Any questions here up to? Sorry, I'm not asking any questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Another question.
Only
What are the
in
use case?
Yeah,
Would like
sorry.
to say?
cases, right? There will be uh, so in any real-time scenario, the clients are asking, what is your uh, predicted cost for this particular architecture? Okay, so here we are recommending that you need to choose, but the question comes from the client is, see, you as an architect, I have 40 TBs of data, and you tell me what would be the cost, and how much time would take, and how, if we are making this cost, and how long this will take the job to run. Suppose if I'm increasing 10 percentage of the cost, whether my execution time will decrease. So that was the use case always comes from the customer. So how we can recommend that? What is our approach actually in this case? Because cost means, see, there are two questions, right? Every time they are asking, what is my execution time, and
Yes.
what is my cost?
So yeah, so you are already include enable that photon acceleration for your cluster. That photon acceleration will reduce the execution time. So let me show you that. And again, there are other factors that we have to discuss.
Faster,
Again,
right?
yeah. Okay, you see here. Yeah, so there is a one point I have added here. Okay, let me go back to here. Okay, so let's see. Like this is what evaluate performance optimized query. Okay, so how you're evaluating your performance optimized query. Okay, so Photon is like it's a high performance your Databricks native vectorized query engine. So this will help to speed up your SQL workloads and any of the data frame API calls. Okay, so this is also a compatible with Apache Spark API. No code changes is required, so you need to make sure that this is enabled. So this will what it will do, like if you're not enabled, let's say you're running a query and it is taking like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, by enabling the photon acceleration, this will reduce your query time, execution time. Okay, this is also one of the factor where you have to look into this, whether
Okay.
this photon acceleration is enabled or not. Okay. So what it will do, see, same if you're not using this photon acceleration, and you increase the instance virtual machine size. Okay. Sometimes you don't see any difference. Let's use the same instance and you select this photon acceleration. Definitely you will see the query execution time reduced time. Okay, so this is also you have to consider. Okay, these are all the recommendations from Azure Databricks, Microsoft Azure. I will also share you the sources where you can go and find all this information. Okay. And also, not only that, if someone is ask your customers, that's always right. Cost when we go and talk to customer about the performance improvement, where you have to choose this model or this instance size, and it will improve the performance. Then obviously the question it's a quite common that they ask whether it will reduce my execution time of the query. Okay, so for that also there are again a lot of performance optimization patterns are applied to your queries. So that is also we have to consider. Okay, I will show you the source. What as part of the query optimization, what you have to do, what are all you need to ensure that are in place. Okay, if those are already in place, then we have to discuss on the next part. Okay, so this is where you have to make sure if you wanted to have your query should be performance optimized. Okay, along with that, you also have to consider. So we are talking about the compute optimization, storage optimization. Apart from that, the other factors which we need to consider is like how much data that you are load to your workload for consumption. What is the computational complexity of your workloads? So these are all have to be reviewed. Okay, so where are you reading the data from? That means there will be number of different sources, right? Some people will read this Azure is on the AWS. So this Azure Databricks on the Microsoft Azure in one of the region, okay, close to the customer data center. Okay, in that region you have deployed your Azure uh, Databricks, but you have a different data sources, different regions. In my experience, one of the recent conversation with one of the customer, they have all their towers in Africa and their region somewhere in the Europe. Okay, all these towers around, they have a 2000 towers. They are sending all these data sensor to the region into one of the Europe region. You see how much data, there will be a data transfer cost is involved. Okay, so those are different kind of scenarios that we have to address. From where you are reading the data, and okay, and also sometimes customers have a different regions, and all the regions they have to read the data. So it should not be over a public internet. You have to have your internal private communication, private endpoints, where you have to read the data within a private network. That will help organization to optimize their cost whenever it is coming to the data transfer. Azure Databricks is that not only loading the data, transferring data is also one of the big concern, because you read the data from multiple sources, and from this warehouse also, the data will read by multiple your business intelligence tools from different locations. Okay, and how you're partitionizing your external storage, okay? And how much parallelism do you need before you design all these workloads? You need to consider these important things. You have to make sure, and you should have this information. Okay, this is a checklist The first, you have to optimize your resources, and you have, because Azure data frame, Azure Databricks, the default they use the Delta Lake. Okay, that's a format. Uh, and then you have to use your job computes efficiently, SQL warehouse for SQL workloads. Okay, and then you have to use up-to-date Databricks runtimes. Sometimes it was deployed sometime back in an old version. You're still using the same version. You're not upgraded to the latest Databricks runtime. This will also lead, because how we are going to test this in the production now. You have to have your one of the development environment. You have to simulate that environment into your development, and you can verify the query execution time, whether the latest version is helping you to optimize the execution time without modifying the infrastructure, right? Because you're an old version that might have some issues. Okay, this is also one of the key factor where you have to keep in mind whenever it is coming to the cost optimization. Okay, upgrades is also one of the important factor. Okay, that is even for the Databricks runtime, and as well as save for the machine learning related runtimes. Okay, and use serverless services for your workloads. Okay, if you have any BI, business intelligence related workloads, and if you have any machine learning related artificial modeling serving, and also I have a couple of the tasks, because you create everything as a task, most of the cases in your Azure Databricks. But what would be the recommendation? Okay, what would be the recommendation? So let me show you that also. I will take a little bit break here. I just wanted to know about the Gautam and Rakesh. Sorry, Gautam and Rakesh, you guys joined in between, so I have I just continued the session to not interrupt the discussion. So can you just give me a 2 minutes introduction or 1 minute, like who are you and what do you do and what do you know? Yes, yes, I can share the recording. That's fine. Okay, Gautam, are you audible? I think you are on mute. Rakesh. Rakesh, I'm audible. Krish.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, then let me share my screen. Second, someone is joined. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi, Rakesh.
Hi,
So,
can you hear me?
yeah, I can. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. You can see here. Okay, this is like what is actually recommended, when you're going to create any uh, task, and what is the approach should be. Okay, so here, like if you're creating a notebooks, if you're creating a Python, script, or any wheel SQL related, like follow declarative pipelines that you are under any ETL jobs. Okay, anything Spark, like you have all the recommended compute and supported compute. Okay, this will help you if you were assigned to review the cost factors, then you need to make sure first of all what are the different types of tasks that are exist in your pipeline, like data pipeline, the jobs, whatever. You need to make sure whether you are using the recommended type of compute options or not. Okay, you need to document all these. You have notebooks. The notebook should use a serverless, not a dedicated compute instance, because of like consider the development environment, right? Normally they don't use like 24/7. Like so, if you are using a dedicated compute instance, like any virtual machine, you created a cluster and you associated like how I have all these. Let me go back to the workspace. Let me leave this. Okay, and let me open one of the notebook. You see here, I have to connect my notebook to one of the compute type. Okay, either a cluster or it's a serverless. So you need to make sure, as part of the best practice for the cost optimization, your notebooks should be associated to the serverless jobs. Unless until if you see those are running 24/7, 365 days, which is incurring, incur more, cost. Then you have to compare with the cluster configuration, the respective virtual machine size and the price. Then you have to compare both if you wanted to switch. Okay, so
So
this is
sorry, bro. I need to drop. Okay.
yeah.
So it's a I mean it's a very good initiative, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to all of us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So this is all you have to make sure which type of compute capacity is required to configure the database. Okay. So we have everything from the Microsoft this one. Yeah. Okay. So this is the URL. I will share these URLs. Okay. And the next thing is you have to adopt auto scaling, because like now in initial phase you don't know how much capacity is required, that may gradually increase. So in initial days you really don't need to configure a big cluster with high CPU and memory. It's not required. You enable the auto scaling for your compute capacity. Okay, and like any streaming related workloads. Okay, the data ingestion that you are getting through streaming, then you have to use Lakeflow declarative pipelines, so you can enable the auto scaling. Okay, and you have to use auto termination for lower environments, because this is a lower environment. I have enabled the termination if this cluster is not is ideal for did I delete it? Okay, so let me show you here. Okay, so you have option here, auto scaling, how much how minimum and how much maximum systems required, or do you need a single node. Okay, these are for the lower environments, but this is about the dynamic auto scaling. So if you wanted to scale your workloads, so you just have to enable this. Okay. Okay, then you see here termination. Okay, for the lower environments, development environments, you don't need to really turn on your clusters, for 24/7. You just plan enabling the termination. Like if those clusters are inactive for half an hour, 30 minutes, or 1 hour, then that will terminate. Again, they can initiate having creating a new cluster and all those things. Okay, and another one is like a spot instances. So whenever it is coming to the virtual machine pricing on any cloud computing platform, you have a reserved instances, dedicated instances, and spot instances. This spot instances, you will get in a very low cost. It's like a stock. Okay, your stock will be falling between minimum and maximum. When it is you bid a price for it, example, one stock you bid price like $10. Till the price is $10, then your server will be there. Then it is increasing, then your server will be terminated. Okay, so those are the kind of spot instances also available in the Azure. Not only for the Azure Databricks, it will be applicable all kind of a computer engines. Okay, so you also have to make sure these practices are enabled for your lower environments. Okay, right. So we done with the computing side and as well as the storage side and as well as the dynamic allocation for segregation of different workloads. Okay, and then quickly we will jump into the I have only 3-4 slides, then I will quickly finish this. Okay, right. So I'm just summarizing here. Key optimization areas, cluster management, right sizing, auto scaling, termination, job scheduling. Okay, so you have to plan efficient orchestration to avoid redundancy, storage optimization, and as well as monitoring governance. Okay, you have to have a usage visibility and cost attribution. I will show you cost attribution. What are the different ways where you can monitor the cost of your Azure Databricks? Okay, right. So cluster configuration best practices. So I have covered this. You have to enable auto scaling, spot instances, auto termination, and cluster pools. Okay. And job scheduling and workload management side, you have to use job clusters for your scheduled ETL or ELT related jobs. Okay, and avoid interactive cluster for production workloads. Okay, this we already discussed. For production, it's all non-interactive jobs you have to run. And are there any scheduled jobs that you wanted to plan that you have to run in off-peak hours? Because in off-peak hours, all of your jobs, the computing capacity very minimal. Because by the time some of the business functions will not work, so that you can use the existing cluster efficiently. Okay? So you have to use the task orchestration to avoid any unnecessary runs. So this entire pipeline you have to build. And this is how you have to maintain your jobs and workloads management to optimize the cost efficiently. Okay. Coming to the storage optimization, so you have to use Delta Lake for your efficient storage and as well as for the ACID transactions. Okay. Then you have to frequently run this optimize and zorder queries regularly. That will uh, help you to improve the storage efficiency. Okay, and you should avoid small files with auto compaction or batch file writes. Then you have to plan your unused data. Either you have to archive or you have to delete. So coming to the monitoring and governance, we already have some of the tools in Azure that will monitor the cost. Okay, and it
Kalyan,
will also, yeah.
are you sharing your slides or because you are only seeing
Yes,
the
yes,
screen actually?
yes. I'm sharing the slide. Sorry. Now,
Yeah, now you can see.
okay. So I just started here. I will just repeat it. Okay. Yeah, I just started, this discussion. Okay, job scheduling and workload management. Okay, where the job clusters for schedule any ETL or EL related, then you have to use a dedicated job clusters, and you should avoid any interactive clusters for production workloads. You always have to plan non-interactive jobs. Okay, you also plan schedule jobs during the off-peak hours. Okay, in peak hours, the compute capacity memory capacity is always high, and then if these jobs are also added again, that will take more CPU and memory. Okay, so which are which you can plan off peak hours, which really, so this again not all the jobs. again we have to discuss if really that is not required during the business time, that you can run in off peak hours. Okay? And then you have to automate your all task orchestration to avoid unnecessary runs. Okay? We don't want unnecessarily, we should not run any kind of a jobs execution, because that will take, for example, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour. That will again lead unnecessary DBU utilization, and that will add more costs. We have these pipelines automated, in place, so that will avoid unnecessary runs. Storage optimization. Yep, this is a delta lake is used for efficient storage and as well as the database asset transactions. Okay, either update is the update. If it is failed, it will completely roll back. Okay, so most of the database guys, they pretty much know about the asset transactions. Okay, and from inside the database, the storage side, these guys have to run optimize and z-order functions or jobs regularly, so that will help them optimizing the storage, and also avoid the small files with auto compaction. If there are any small files, you should avoid auto compaction or any batch writes. And like as we discussed in the beginning, if organization is having data retention, you have to plan this unused data, either you need to delete or archive. That is about the storage optimization. Okay. So monitoring and governance, in Azure, we already have the Cost Explorer, that will help us to track all the services cost. But what about the inside Databricks? Okay. So if I go back here to Azure portal, okay, so let me select my subscription. I can see the expense and what are all the services that are costing. Okay, but how can I identify? Because in Azure Databricks, there will be queries, there will, ETL process will be there, data ingestion will be there, then data transformation will be there, data load will be there, there will be reads, writes into your storage. So how you are going to track those? Okay, that I will show you in a minute. So in Azure, we already have a cost management tools that are available, and what you have to do is you create any resource on the Azure. Okay, you have to create the tags. Most, if you are working in any of the cloud platform, you should know the tag. Okay, you create any resource, you have to assign a tag. Let's say I have created one resource group, then I have to assign tags. Okay, what type of environment it is and which purpose I'm going to use. Let's say this is app. Okay, and this is my sales AI agent. So this is kind of a tags you have to allow. Okay, let's say environment. Okay, and this is like a dev environment. This is the tags, so that you can fetch, okay, how much your company is investing on the dev environment, how much you're investing into a specific product. All these cost allocation tags will be helpful to understand how exactly you are spending on the Azure. And also this is Unity catalog. This is very important thing, and one of the governance tool. This is kind of a source of truth. Okay, so if you have any bad data that you wanted to clean up, okay, and you have to implement the Unity catalog. Okay, so that will completely track the data access. Okay, and also you can create budget alerts. This is a common not only for Azure Bricks, Databricks. You can implement this entire Azure level. So you can set up the budgets and all in Azure platform. Yes, this advanced tips I think I have already covered in because one of the guy questioned me. So you have to use a Photon real time for a faster execution and lower DB usage. Okay, this has to be enabled at a cluster level, and you have to use a SQL warehouse for any business intelligent workloads. Like if you wanted to generate some reports and all those kind of queries, for that you have to use a SQL warehouse inside your Azure Databricks. Okay, so you have a compute, let's leave it, and you have this. You have to create a notebook and associate your notebook to your SQL warehouse. Okay, so you have to associate, and then you can start writing your queries. Okay, and generate whatever the SQL queries are required for your BI tool. Okay, yeah. So this is for Unity Catalog. This has to be enabled in Azure Databricks. That will take care of the governance and as well as the cost attribution. Okay, so here I will show you some of the where SQL related queries. Yes. Okay. So how you can, like, infrastructure level, you have a Azure Cost Explorer where you can find, if you select the subscription, it will show you the services cost. Okay, your Azure Databricks is taking like there is a lot of cost incurred. How we're going to address that, why this data Azure Databricks is cost is very high, how we are going to optimize it. Okay, so we already have a couple of the methods. What you have to do is yeah, so I will share this link. So here you have a cost management. Okay, inside Azure Databricks, how we are going to manage is you can uh, build a dashboards. Okay, into Azure Databricks, and there are some system tables like the system.billing.usage. So this will help you to monitor the Databricks cost. Okay, let me show you a little bit in detail what exactly we can monitor with the help of this table. Okay, so here inside Azure Databricks, you can check how many DBUs of each product. Okay, you configured many products, fetching the data, like ETL process is happening. So you wanted to fetch, totally how many DBUs of each product have been used throughout this month. Okay, this is completely inside Databricks. Okay, which jobs consumed the most DBUs, because for Azure Databricks pricing will be calculated in the DBUs. So you wanted to understand, okay, which job is taking more DBU and why the job is taking. Okay, there will be hundreds of jobs. So how we are going to identify? Okay, there are certain queries are there in Azure Databricks. So where you can simply execute this job. So that will help you in giving the most consumable job. Okay. Not only that, with the help of the tags inside, you can fetch the data, and as well as usage is growing. Okay, so which one is taking gradually is growing. So you need to understand why a particular job is keep on growing. Okay, so that will also helpful for you to analyze the cost for the Azure Databricks. Okay, like for compute trend, you wanted to understand the trend for all purpose computes. Okay, like, so you have for serverless pipelines. Okay, and as well as you have a daily trend for DB consumption, like daily how much DBs that we are using for your Databricks workloads. Okay, so these are all the different SQL queries. This has to be implemented okay in production. So not only production, for all the environments where you can like you have a complete control on the cost. Okay, any questions here? I think yeah, so let me summarize and the takeaways if there are no questions. Like, as part of this session, my intention is to give you some insights on the cost optimization side if you are managing your Azure Databricks into Azure. Okay, either if it is a new deployment or if it is a already existing brownfield environment, then these are all you have to review. Okay, that will help you to optimize the storage cost and right size instances, so that small changes lead to a significant savings. Okay. Yeah.
Kalyan,
Yeah.
I have one question. So right now in our solution, we are segregating region, and within that region, we are segregating business units to catalog. Okay, so now is there any way to get the business unit means the catalog wise expenses?
Yes, you have a query also catalog wise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just review this. Uh, yeah, let me share my screen. Okay. Uh, okay. So, what is the DPU consumption of materialized view or streaming table? So, what you can do is the following credit is materialized view. Okay, with fully qualified where you can fetch the catalog, the schema, and as well as the tables.
Okay, okay, that's good, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, just let me share all these URLs. I just captured all this information from all these URLs. I will just paste. Okay. I will paste the PPT here directly. And this one also, I will put it in PPT format. File export PDF. Yes. So before you exit from this meeting, better to copy this, download. Otherwise, you will not have access to this again meetings. Okay. Oh, I cannot share the document here. Okay, I will try to find out a way because this is a external meeting from my organization, so I did not enable the policy to share the document. Okay. Yeah, I will try to find out a way to share this PPT, but I will share the URLs. Uh, okay,
Shall
okay.
we share the email ID? Is
Yes,
that
yes. Yeah,
suitable for
that's
you?
fine. Yes, that's fine. I can send over an email. Yeah. Okay. I'm just pasting
Oh,
Microsoft
I'm
links.
giving mine.
Yeah. So let me stop recording.